Welcome back to Rocker's Beer Review, and today it's time for another rock review. And while we do the review, I'm going to also be drinking a beer. Now, the beer that we're going to be trying is a bit different. It's not your traditional craft beer, but it's a beer that a lot of people have recommended. They've seen my review of the Aldi Pilsner, which I really love, but they are saying this is actually a better beer. So this is because the review is a band that are from Germany, so why don't we get a German themed beer? This is one we're going to have. So this is a Rheinbacher Premium Pilsner from Aldi, coming in at just over £1, I think, for I'm trying to remember what it is. It's less than £1.50 anyway for a 500ml bottle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this beer into the glass. I'm not going to do a traditional review like we normally do with the scores and everything else like that. I'm just going to drink the beer to help me get through the review, because it's a double album review. So I'm just going to get this beer into the glass, and we'll just do a quick sort of we'll do a quick synopsis of the beer, what we think of it, what it looks like. So beer in the glass, obviously bright golden yellow. We've got I think I probably poured this a bit quick. We've got a 3-finger head that's slightly going down, but again, a good German Pilsner would have a decent level of head like that. In terms of the aromas, smells like beer. It smells like lager. You've got that sort of biscuity, malty sort of aromas. A slight sort of hint, a very subtle hint of lemon in there as well, but pretty much not else. I mean, a traditional lager won't have an overwhelming level of aromas in there. So I'm going to be drinking this. Do 2 reviews. We'll have a break at the second review, and I'll just give you my sort of my opinion on the flavours and everything of the beer. But without further ado, let's get on with the review, shall we? So today we are going to be doing a review. It's a bit of a treat, to be honest. I mean, the hint is the t-shirt. So this is the band Helloween. Now, a lot of you out there, if you're into metal and rock, then you've probably heard of Iron Maiden, right? Well, this band produced 2 albums in the late 80s called Keep of the Seven Keys 1 and 2. And these bands, obviously they're from Germany, they're called Helloween, and they pretty much created a genre, power metal, in that sort of time space. A lot of people call them Euro metal or power metal, but that's the sort of a genre that a lot of bands sort of followed after that. A lot of sort of big bands like your Rhapsodies, and lots of other bands from Germany and from the rest of the continental Europe. The similarities with Iron Maiden are, a lot of people saying they're the German version of Iron Maiden. Twin lead guitar. Iron Maiden, when Bruce Dickinson left in 1993, Michael Kiss, the singer of Helloween, was going to be that could have been the replacement singer, but in the end, Iron Maiden decided they wanted to go for a British singer, so Michael Kiss wasn't considered any further than that. So, Helloween, right? German band, the German power metal band, founded in 1984 in Hamburg in West Germany. And it was by members of the bands Iron Fist and Gentry. And their first lineup sort of consisted of a singer and guitarist, Kai Hansen, bass player Marcos Groskopf, other lead guitarist Michael Wyckoff, and the drummer Ingo Schwitzenberg. These are not easy names to say. I'm going to have to drink some of this. They released their EP and then their first album, Walls of Jericho. And then they recruited a singer because Kai Hansen decided that he couldn't play guitar and sing. So they got an 18-year-old singer, pretty much an unknown, called Michael Kiske. And he replaced Kai Hansen in terms of the singing, and Kai Hansen concentrated on playing the guitar. The result was 2 albums that they basically wrote and produced back to back, called Keeper of the Seven Keys, and they were called Part 1 and Part 2. And originally the band wanted to release this as a double album, but their record company refused, so they released them one after the other within a year of each other. So we're going to start with Keeper 1. So this album, relatively short. I mean, Kai Hansen, the guitarist, is all over this album. He penned most of the songs, and he actually plays most of the guitars on it because Michael Wyckoff at the time, he was injured. I'm not sure exactly what his injury was, but he didn't contribute all the recording. He does play solos and stuff on there, but he doesn't do as many guitars, and he doesn't write the songs for it. So we start off with an intro, and then after the intro, you've got two songs back to back. First one's called I'm Alive, and the second one is A Little Time. These are fast-paced, heavy metal classics. So you've got lots of twin leads, like you get with Iron Maiden, big, fast solos, multiple solos, and Ingo, the drummer, has a sort of real sort of style in terms of real double bass, fast machine gun type of drum playing. But really, Michael Kiske is the star, showing much more sort of vocal range than Kai Hansen. He's a lot less raspy and a lot more cleaner, and he's got absolute amazing range, so he can sing really low but really, really high as well, with some amazing sort of screams and wails. So these songs are great. Then the third song, Twilight of the Gods. Again, the album doesn't really sort of let up in terms of its pace. Another fast-paced, a bit more of an anthem, a bit more of a rocker. It's got like a science fiction type of theme. Another great track. Then you've got the ballad. This shows some of the softer side, and certainly gives Michael Kiske a little bit more time to shine with his great vocal performance. That ballad is called A Tale That Wasn't Right. So side 2, I mean, there's only 2 and a bit songs really on there. First song, Future World. Again, really fast, great sing-along, melodic chorus. I'm sure this is a great sort of live favourite, really, because it's a real anthem, really, for them. And again, with a sort of slightly science fiction sort of theme. The next track, though, this is the centrepiece of the album, and in my opinion, is one of the greatest power metal epics of all time. It's a 13-minute opus, and the song is called Helloween, not to be confused with the name of the band, Helloween. So, Helloween, it's an incredibly well-plotted and dynamic song. So it starts with its doom and sinister sort of beginnings. Then it goes into an epic sort of speed power metal with lots of guitar licks that change and charge into the verses. It's got so many twists and turns, it's really difficult to describe. Amazing vocal lines in it, amazing chorus, and let's not, you've got to listen to this song, but the extended bridge then follows that with a sort of neo-classical sort of frenzy, sort of around 2/3 of the way through, with a sort of dual guitar wielding of Michael Wyckoff and Kai Hansen, sort of almost battling against each other, who can out-solo each other. It's probably my favourite Helloween track, which, I always make a point of revisiting every year on the 31st of October, like some kind of heavy metal ritual. This song made me love heavy metal epics, so back in the day, back in the late 80s, when I was in the record shops and I looked at albums, if there was an album with a song on it that was longer than 10 minutes, then that would be high up in my my chance of buying it. I mean, obviously there needs to be a good fantasy heavy metal cover, but I don't think any of those albums that I bought and any of those songs had a track on it that came close to the song Helloween. And that Helloween itself is the song worth buying this album for on its own. So after that 13-minute epic, it's quite exhausting listening to it, but it's so exhilarating. The album sort of closes with a little bluesy guitar solo sort of outro called Follow the Sign. And then that's basically the end of the album. It's over far too quickly when you think you've got a 13-minute epic in there. Still, then, we can move on to Keeper of the Seven Keys, Part 2. So, I'm going to stop there and talk about this beer as I've been drinking it. This is really nice, actually. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of people there that, we know that Germany make the best Pilsners, If you want lager, Germany are seen worldwide as the people that make the best. But obviously there's so many different types. And I'm not talking about your Becks. We ignore those sort of beers. This is a really nice. I mean, the head's kept well. Nice levels of carbonation. Clean and crisp. Those sort of biscuity sort of notes when you drink it. with a sort of slight bitterness, which gives it a bit more fuller flavour. Let me see what the percentage was. 4.8. They actually do this in cans as well, and I think the cans are slightly different in terms of the alcohol. I'm not sure why they would do two different types, but this is probably the premier version. I think probably a little bit more alcoholic than the ones in the cans. But this is really nice. I mean, it's light and crisp. I find with lager you've got to get the carbonation right. It's so easy that you can get too much fizz, too much carbonation in it, and it almost sort of it kills the taste. But this has got, if you look at the bubbles there, it's moving up the glass. Not a huge, massive fast pace. Certainly not as fast paced as some of those Helloween songs, and that gives it time so you can get the flavour. So you get that sort of nice, crisp, refreshing burst when you first taste it. But as you drink more and more and it sits on the palate, you get that sort of slight bitterness, bit of dryness there that just makes you want to keep drinking it. And it's got a pretty full flavour. And when we're talking about an Aldi beer that's like, £1 and a bit, it's nothing. It's good value. If you like lagers, then this is a good example. I mean, I think that they sort of try and compare it, although that's not a German beer, but they compare it with like a Stella Artois, which obviously you pay a lot more for. I mean, Aldi are masters, whether it's beer or whether it's chocolate biscuits, at copying other big brands and doing their own version that can sometimes not only be as good as them but actually better. And this is a good example. If you like German Pilsners, then why not buy 4 of these? Buy a 4-pack of cans. It's probably £3 for a 4-pack of cans. Perfectly good. Great for a barbecue. Great if you want to be drinking sort of lager for all day or all night. Really nice. So, obviously, I'm not going to go through all the taste, all the different flavours, the flavour, the aroma, and all the rest of it in terms of score, because this video will be too long. But it's a good beer. I'd probably say that it's going to, if I'm giving it a total score, I'd probably give it high 70s, low 80s out of 100. Pretty good. If you like Pilsners, you like lager. Yeah, I still don't know whether it's as good as the 1079 project. 4.6, slightly less alcohol. To me, this has got a little bit more sweetness to it than the Rheinbacher, but obviously some people would probably prefer the fact that it hasn't got the sweetness to it, and they would prefer this. It's a nice beer. Without further ado, let's get on to the second of the Helloween songs, Keeper of the Seven Keys, Part 2. Now, this album, I actually heard the Keeper Part 2 before I heard Keeper 1 back in the day. So it was my sort of first introduction to Helloween. It's structured in a similar way, really. So we start off with a sort of instrumental called Invitation, and then that launches into a pretty fast-paced power metal classic called Eagle Fly Free. Ingo again on drums, his trademark double bass, all through the album, all through this song, takes centre stage. But everyone in the band actually gets a real chance to shine, because this song has obviously you've got double guitar solos from both Kai Hansen and Michael Wyckoff, but you've also got a bass solo and you've also got a drum solo. It's not a massively long song where you expect with those; they're only small little solos, but it really gives the track a little bit more, gives it a bit more really. Then after this, the songs sort of take on a slightly different track, really. A different tact, I mean. Michael Wyckoff and Michael Kiske are both writing more on this album than obviously Keeper 1, which is pretty much dominated by Kai Hansen. So the first song written by Michael Kiske, is actually a song called You'll Never Walk Alone. Fortunately, it's not the power metal version of the Liverpool FC theme tune, but a more melodic, mid-pace rocker, sounding more similar to a sort of like a lesser Iron Maiden song from a sort of Peace of Mind Power Slave era. The next two songs, both by Michael Wyckoff, are Dr. Steen, or Rise and Fall and Dr. Steen. Now this shows Helloween at their more sort of playful and they're a little bit more comical, and dare I say it, they're trying to get a little bit more commercial than their sort of straight ahead sort of speed power metal antics from like Keeper 1. They're great songs. They've got great big sing-along choruses, and there's a lot of little sort of German humour in there. And I noticed that production-wise, these songs have got a lot more sort of keyboards and sort of effects and everything else like that, which the Keeper One album didn't really have. The album, actually, I would say probably sounds better produced than Keeper One, which is a sort of strange because the production team were the same, and they were pretty much written back to back. So I'm not sure whether they just felt to spend more time on the production of Keeper Two. So next song is We've Got the Right. So it's another Michael Kiss song. It's probably a song that really sort of showcases again. It's not really a ballad, but it really showcases Michael Kiss singing. He's singing really, really low, that real sort of tenor sort of voice, and then he hits a real high sort of register with those sort of big sort of screams and high notes. It's a mid-pace sort of song, and gotta admit, for me, when I first heard it, I thought it was pretty forgettable. But as I've revisited this album, I actually think this song gets better and better the more that you listen to it. And it's probably one of those sort of hidden gems, really, for Helloween. So then we get onto side two, and Kai Hansen starts, we've got a couple of Kai Hansen songs on here. First one, March of Time. This is a massive, big power metal classic. Really fast paced. It's like the songs off Keeper One. Real heavy metal, power metal, whatever you want to, whatever name you want to put it, what label you want to put it. Great duel between the two guitarists, really, really great. And I really enjoy that sort of fast pace. Then we've got I Want Out, which again, a lot of people say it's their favourite song. Really good song, and actually, if you check out the cover of this song by the late 80s, early 90s Essex band Strange Frontier, if you can actually get hold of that, they do a really great cover of that song. So I Want Out, written by Kai Hansen, it's sort of maybe him telling the band what he wants to do, because he actually left the band after this album, and it was the last album that he made. So maybe he was in that position. He didn't like the direction that Helloween were going. I think the sort of more comical songs, they felt that they were moving more towards that, where he wanted to do more faster paced songs. But this song, I Want Out, it's probably Kai Hansen's more melodic sort of in terms. Certainly very catchy, great song, great solos, real sort of sing along sort of song. Then we've got the song Keeper of the Seven Keys, which is the sort of Helloween epic, sort of the Helloween from Keeper One version on this album. It's a 13-minute song, but I don't think it's as good as Helloween. It's there's a lot more. It's a Michael Wyckoff song. It's a lot more melodic. There's sort of acoustic guitars. There's lots of little time changes, lots of different elements to it. It's a lot more theatrical, I think, in terms of Michael Kiss's singing, and it maybe drags a little bit. I know a lot of people that really love it. I just feel that I'm always going to compare it to the song Helloween, which it's not as good as. Then the next song, unlike on Keeper One, where it sort of ended with a sort of little outro, we've got a sort of bonus type of track. It says bonus track, but it's on pretty much all the albums that I've seen of it, called Save Us. It's again it's a Kai Hansen, straightforward, big guitar riffs, soaring vocals, double bass drumming by Ingo, typical of a Kai Hansen sort of a song. So that's it. That's the end of those Keeper albums. I mean, I think it would have been quite amazing to have that as a double album. There would have been so much on it, and there would have been so much difference. Maybe they would have had to change some of the pacing of it, because certainly Keeper One is the sort of the much more heavier and faster pace, where Keeper Two's got more interjection of melodic songs. My personal opinion is that Keeper One is the better album. I mean, I'm a little more biased because of the song Helloween, but I just prefer Kai Hansen's writing style. I think it really suited Helloween. I'm not really a bigger fan of the commercial sort of or more comical style of Michael Wyckoff in terms of how he writes, and he's definitely a lot more melodic in his writing style. So what do you think? Have you got the Keeper albums? Which one do you prefer? Is it Keeper One or Keeper Two? I know it can be quite divisive out there with a fan base. For me, it's Keeper One, but let me know what you think. If you put it down in the comments, and I'll be interested to see. did they peak at this album? These two albums, they peaked late 80s. Maybe you're a fan of the albums that came after it. Pink Bubbles got Go Ape, Chameleon even. Maybe you've never heard of Helloween until the introduction of their new singer, Andy Derris, that joined the band after those two subsequent albums after that. They've released a lot of albums, so tell me what your favourite Helloween album is. Let me know in the comments. I'm just going to wrap this up with my opinion of this. I've drank it, it's nice. There is that dryness. A few years ago I went to Munich and and obviously we did all the sort of beer halls and stuff like that. And I did find that after a weekend on a stag do, I sort of got a little bit, fed up of German beer because they can be quite samey, and I do find that they can get to a point where you're drinking them and it's like really, really dry. And good German beer, I'm trying to find the differences. So again, if maybe there's some craft beer breweries out there in Germany. I've not seen many, but if you know any good craft beer by a German brewery, again, let me know in the comments, and we'll try and source it and see if we can review it. I mean, there's going to be some more German rock albums coming. I can think of one of my favourite bands that you may have seen me wearing their t-shirt, also from Germany. So we will be reviewing one of their albums, if not more than one. It'd be good if we could have a German craft beer to review that with. But that's it for this video. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope it's not too long. Hope you've made it this far to the end of it. And remember, keep on rocking!